For those of you who don't know me, I'm Frank Wolf, CEO of HFTP. I work for all of you and the staff. Now, I don't know where Lynette is. I hope I can't see a thing up here. Lynette, where are you? Lynette did everything. You know, she told me I couldn't even come in the room tonight until it was done. So please, let's give Lynette a round of applause. So I introduced myself, and now I'm going to ask my very, very, very special guest to introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Arlene Ramirez. I'm Arlene Ramirez's daughter.
So I thought it would shake things up just a little bit if we got the real story on Arlene before we get into all the normal stuff. So tell us one really funny thing about your mom that doesn't involve underwear.
One really funny thing about my mom is, I don't know, she's really funny all the time. I think it's funny how, like, sometimes we're in the car and we turn on the radio and then she just starts jamming out to all the songs.
So Mom is a jammer. Does she sing on key or off key?
It depends on the day.
Awesome. So, one of the things about HFTP, and we've talked about tonight for a long time amongst ourselves, but one of the things about HFTP is we are a family group. And the family may be kids, it may be friends, it may be dads, because we got Bernie here, first dad. Yeah. But, HFTP for many years, some of us have come up from student chapters to officers. I mean, I know somewhere out there Josh Bergen is here, who used to be a president of a student chapter, and then he became his own thing, and he was at Wyndham, and now he's his own thing again. I think he works for the Ramas, and, it's great how people really, really evolve. So when Arlene and I first started talking about tonight, she said, my daughter is really smart, and she's in student government, and she can speak in front of groups. Now, imagine if you were 12. 12. Imagine if you were 12 coming up here and talking to a bunch of people in a room like this. I have to take a Heineken before I can do this. So I really, really wanted to have this special moment for Arlene and Albert. And, I have to tell you a funny story about Albert, don't you think? Should I tell a funny story about your dad? So a few weeks ago, I got a text from Arlene, and it was some ridiculous night. It was like 10 o'clock. And it was supposed to be, I was working. It was probably a Saturday night. I can't remember, but it was probably a weekend because it was date night for Arlene and Albert. And I get this picture of Albert lounging on the couch in the backyard with a glass of wine. And it was a really, really neat pose. And so I thought, I like to make memes. So don't ever send me pictures if you don't want to have a meme about them. But I like to make memes. So I had this really nice picture of Albert, and I think I put on it something like, I hardly ever lounge, but when I do, it's with a nice glass of wine and my flip-flops. So anyway, is there anything else you'd like to say about your mom or your dad?
Or my dad.
No. This is your chance.
My dad's also a jammer.
Albert is also a jammer. Does he also sing on key or off key?
Depends on the song.
Oh. Depends on the song. Okay. All right. Well, anyway, thank you for joining me here. We're going to get started. If you could turn this mic off and turn that one on, we'll see you in a minute. So we're going to get started. This is going to be a phenomenal evening, and I believe at the end of a phenomenal convention. Tonight, we recognize our leaders, those who've been with us for many, many years, and those who are new leaders. I'm going to be calling up Chris Begley. Chris is a young professional. He's a CHTP. He's the IT and video production manager at the Hotel Nico in San Francisco. Chris has been recently, not only recently, but since Chris has been active in HFTP, he's been a real thought leader. Chris participated in the March Leadership Strategy Seminar, and like millennials tend to do, Chris showed up without any kind of reservation. Sorry, Chris, I had to tell it. You know, where's my badge? Who are you? Oh, you're coming for leadership. Okay. So Chris also was kind enough to join us on the HFTP chapter task force, and we are delighted to have Chris. We're delighted to have everybody. Several years ago, we decided that as a group that it would be really nice to have a regular member of the association to touch our roots and have that person come up and install the officers and the directors for the coming year. So unfortunately for Chris, he drew the short straw tonight. So Chris, could I ask you to come on up to the podium and let's get started.
Thank you, Frank. That's the best introduction I think I've ever gotten for anything. That was very sweet. It's really an immeasurable honor just to be here standing in front of all of you. Fantastic, beautiful people. Just going to butter you up a little bit before I get going. This evening is about honoring our association's leaders and the endeavors they support on behalf of HFTP. Thanks to their expertise and hard work, our association continues to thrive. HFTP wouldn't be where it is today without the continued strong leadership through its history. To honor the great tradition of HFTP leadership, I'd like to turn the spotlight to a special group of individuals I greatly respect, our HFTP past presidents, a number of whom are with us tonight. What I continue to be impressed with is how every one of these individuals did not just disappear once they completed their terms on the executive committee. Instead, they've continued to be active with HFTP, both at the chapter and global levels. As their professional careers have grown, they've contributed their experience as advisors, speakers, and leaders. Let me take a moment to recognize them. Will you please stand as I call your name? Leonard Bartello, CPA, CHAE, CHTP, President from 1992 to 1993. Agnes DeFranco, CHAE, President from 2006 to 2007. Lisa Funk Martin, CHAE, President from 2011 to 2012. Douglas McFarland, CPA, President from 1990 to 1991. Ralph Miller, CA, CBV, CHA, CHAE, President from 2005 to 2006, and Paragon Award winner. Congrats again on that, Ralph. Terry Price, CHAE, CHTP, CPA, President from 2009 to 2010. RP Rama, CHA, CHAE, CHTP, President from 2012 to 2013. Jules Seberg, CHTP, President from 2008 to 2009. Thomas Smith, CHAE, President from 2010 to 2011. The Jerry Trieber, CPA, CHAE, CFE, CFF, CGMA, President from 2013 to 2014. Henry Buddy Weeks, CHAE, President from 1993 to 1994. And Wendy Zerstad, CHAE, CPA, CAM, President from 2002 to 2003. Thanks to all of you for your continued commitment to HFTP. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in showing our appreciation to these very special people. Now I'd like to proceed with the installation of our 2015-2016 Board of Directors and Executive Committee. I do want to note that tonight, for the first time ever at President's Evening, we are taking advantage of today's technology with a live stream, not just of this dinner, but a live stream from one of our incoming officers, Timothy Noss, to tonight's ceremony, all the way from Macau, bringing to life the type of exchange you would find in a James Bond movie. High-tech gadget with a global spin. Hello, Tim. Greetings from Bellevue. Can you give us your best James Bond impression? Oh, there's a lag. There's a little bit of a lag. Long lag. I do want to note that tonight, for the first time ever, that was a really, really long. Tim Noss, ladies and gentlemen. All right. I'm going to go on. In our association, thank you, Tim. He'll hear that eventually, yeah. One of the most important ceremonies is the installation. All right, he'll hear all of that stuff later in about 3 minutes. In our association, one of the most important ceremonies is the installation of elected leaders. For those being installed, it's a visible testament of their commitment and dedication to HFTP. It represents the promises they have made to serve HFTP with their talents, time, and energy. Those of us who witness this event also play an important role in the ceremony because we too demonstrate our promise to support and encourage our leaders during the coming year. The men and women that we install tonight have made major commitments to help HFTP and its members grow and prosper through the coming year. They are responsible for the future of the association. I repeat, they are responsible for the future of the association. I join with all of you in wishing these directors the very best in the year ahead. Would the following directors please come forward? And in the spirit of our fantastic speaker this morning, I will announce each of their names with the proper amount of professional sports-like enthusiasm. Director Cindy Estes Green. Co-founder and Chief Executive Officer of Calibri Labs. Director Neil Foster. CHTP MBA, IT consultant with Tectonic Hospitality Services. Director Christopher Garland. Senior Vice President of Operations and Finance at the Four Seasons Hotel. Director Rosemarie Gilchrist. CHAE CFO at the Country Club. Director Ted Horner. Managing Director with E. Horner and Associates. Director Chris Capper. CPA, CFO of the Cliffs. Director Michael Levy. CEO of Citizen M. Director Allison Lowe. CPA, CHAE, Tax Manager with Peterson Sullivan. Director Sherry Merrick. Vice President of Marketing for Datavision Technologies. Director Mark Pate. MBA, CHAE, CHTP, Assistant Controller and IT Director for High Point Hotel Corporation. And last but not least, Director Kaiko Shirasu Bailey. CPA, Assurance Director for McGladrey. As a director on the HFTP board, you are charged with representing the best interests of the membership and with charting the course for the association to reach its full potential and future goals. This role requires you to set high standards of professional performance for yourself as well as the association. By your presence here this evening, you acknowledge your willingness to accept this responsibility. Do you pledge to commit your best knowledge and energy to the growth and support of HFTP? If so, answer, I do. I do. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in congratulating and expressing support for our 2015-2016 directors. In addition, Chris Singleton, CIO of Omni Hotels, has been appointed by the Executive Committee to fulfill the 2-year term left of Mr. Scott Campbell. I'll say that one more time in case you guys didn't get it. I didn't know that was happening behind me. Oh yeah, you guys, yeah. We good? That was good. So in addition, Chris Singleton, and Chris Singleton! I don't know where you are. But CIO of Omni Hotels has been appointed by the Executive Committee to fulfill the 2-year term left of Mr. Scott Campbell. And you'll know why pretty soon. I think we're going to project Tim back on the screen. Perhaps. We'll see if he comes back up or not. But next, we will install the Executive Committee. Yeah, okay. Will the following officers please come forward? Lyle Worthington. CHTP CIO, Advisor of Hospitality Technology. And he's a consultant, but we all know that. So, run on, sorry. Scott Campbell. CHTP Vice President and Chief Architectural Officer of IT for Caesars Entertainment. Daniel Conti. CHAE CAM, the Director of Finance for Wyndham Grand Jupiter at Harborside Place. And streaming in from Macau, which eventually he'll get it, Timothy Noss. CHAE, Property CFO for Studio City Macau.
Let y'all know in about 3 Anticipation's building. Just wait. Wait for it. Wait for it. It's coming.
I think I would actually like to wait for him to see what he says. So you might be texting somebody or something. Whoa! Ladies and gentlemen, Timothy Noss! Serving as an officer of HFTP can be a challenging and exciting role. You have already experienced the time commitment required to execute the many responsibilities you assume as a member of the HFTP Board of Directors. While the association has grown and prospered, there remain many challenges ahead if HFTP is to sustain a high level of performance and achievement. Do you pledge yourself to a renewed commitment to promote the association's progress that benefits the membership and the profession? If so, answer, I do.
I do. And I'm not
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in congratulating your 2015-2016 officers. No, you're good. I think you get 5 maybe. What's that? I think you get 2. Should we leave? Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Tim, for joining us, and I hope we can see you in person at next year's annual convention. Now I'd like to look forward and welcome the individual who will be our HFTP Global President for the coming year. To introduce her as longtime HFTP member and a mentor to our incoming Global President, Al Gallo, CHAE. Ladies and gentlemen, Al Gallo!
Well, good evening. First, I'd like to thank Frank again and the staff. Frank always puts together a wonderful party. And again, tonight, it's very evident. We're looking forward to all the festivities later. Thank you, Arlene, for inviting me to introduce you this evening. It's quite an honor. I've been a member of HFTP for about 30 years, and I know that's older than some of you in this room. I've known Arlene for 25 of those years. In 1988, I was hired as the CFO for the Woodlands Resort Country Club Conference Center. And by the way, it was due to my earning my CHAE that I got that job in 1988. I think I was number 346 or something. But that was their decision when they hired me. Spring of 1990, Arlene and I met. So I'd been there 2 years after I've already burnt through 2 assistant controllers. And as you're a controller, you know how that goes. You know, 2 years, 2 assistants, you're like, what's next? So I put an ad in the Bottom Line Journal. That's our trade journal. And if you recall the Bottom Line back then, you know, again, we didn't have email. We didn't have a website. There was none of that. But when you got the Bottom Line Journal, like every other month, what was the first thing you did? Jobs. You went to the back page. The back page had the jobs. It had the listings. It had the salaries that everybody made. And so you looked and you saw, okay, I made this much. This guy makes this much. You did that whole thing. That's the first thing you did. Well, Arlene responded to that. She responded. She was in Irving, Texas at the time. And so after her coming down for the interview, she faxed me her resume, you know, on that slippery gray paper that you could never send to HR. You had to take it and make a copy of it on a copy machine. So at any rate, she responded to me off the fax. I liked her knowledge, her background, her willingness to learn. She was experienced with 2 high-profile Marriott hotels, and Marriott has great systems. And so I knew I was going to get somebody that hopefully knew how to do some accounting for an independent organization. Little did she know these experiences she'd have at the Woodlands Resort would help shape her for a lot of challenges. It was a big resort. It was 81 holes of golf, 4.5 golf courses, about 400 guest rooms, spa, 2 corporate conference centers, one for Exxon, one for Shell, hosting the Shell Houston Open. She jumped right into all that from where she was. We worked together for 4 years. And when I would be called out on some other project that the Woodlands might have, I put her in charge. 0 hesitation. Until finally, as what happens to most assistants, what happens? They desire to spread their wings, and they want to be the boss. Albert, you know what I mean? They want to be the boss. More importantly, they want to get paid what the boss gets paid. I mean, that's just, you know, we've had many conversations. Before she left to work as Four Seasons hotel controller in Houston, and then go on to Director of Corporate Finance for Benchmark Hospitality International, I want to tell you a little bit about her younger days. The early years, as I call them. She was in her early 20s, okay? That's when I met her. And so I want to take a little time capsule for just a moment, and I want to share this really more so with the young students that are here tonight, to think of where you are today and how Arlene, what were some of the attributes she had to get to where she is tonight. So I'm going to share that with you. As I recall, over 25 years ago, she was not a party girl. You might say she's evolved in that sense. I'm sure we'll see more of that later this evening. She wasn't, though. She was very work-oriented. What were her work ethics? And I've listed a few bullets here for myself. She was a solid accountant. So I'm gonna manage by repetition here real quickly. When I say solid accountant, we needed somebody that would take the time and reconcile all those balance sheet accounts every month and have some type of documentation in there. She was all over it. So we turned the accounting around at the Woodlands. She helped frame a mission statement for the accounting department that has been plagiarized today. So if you've heard anything like the mission to provide timely, accurate, meaningful information in a respectful manner, that came with Arlene's assistance and help. So if you've got something like that, I think it started there. She was a solid manager, a solid leader. And what is management? Management is getting work done through others. She was gifted with that. I once had a college professor, Douglas Keister, Agnes, I think you may have known him, and he said in order to be an effective manager, you have to be a little bit lazy. And we're all like, what? What do you mean late? What do you mean? What do you mean? He says, look, you don't want to do all the work yourself. You want to delegate, get the work done through others. Arlene, I have to say, you're a great delegator, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean, she really did. She was able to utilize the resources she had, delegate work to others. She supervised staff, administered performance reviews, hired, fired. I think you enjoyed firing people. Seriously. You know, a lot of times, you know, when you have to do that, you fire somebody, you know, you're like, this person's, you know, it's whatever, it's not worked out. You sit down with the manager, and they sit there, and they're like, they don't really want to do it. Al, will you do it? Not Arlene. She's like, I'm all over it. Done. She was a very good leader back then. She chaired operational staff meetings, and in my absence was in charge. She took responsibility for the good and the bad. She was a doer, and that's what I'd like to call Arlene. She was a doer. I didn't worry about things getting done, and you won't worry about things getting done when she's going to be global president, because she takes charge, she gets going. You know, in this business, she was a solid friend, as well as what I would tell you, a friend. You spend more time, I think, with your coworkers sometimes than you do with your family. So you better like the people you're working with, or make some kind of change if not. So in this business, we do a lot of eating and meeting. And I would tell her, this is the eatinest and meetinest job I've ever had. We eat and we meet. It's about all we do. Some of the memories I've had in the summers and springs at the Woodlands, again, we had 4.5 golf courses there. You know, we would take our friend Nancy and maybe a couple others, we'd grab a couple golf carts, and we'd say, let's just go to a halfway house. And I don't mean a drug halfway house, okay? For you non-club people, you know, these are the little restaurants at the 9th hole on the golf courses that are out there in the middle of nowhere. So those are my memories. We would take those, it would be a 15-minute ride in the golf cart. We'd get there, we'd spend 30 minutes visiting with all the woodland trees and everything and in nature, and enjoy a hamburger or a hot dog similar to what they served last night at the event. You know, those big dogs and everything. And then we'd take another 15 minutes back to the office in the golf cart. Those are some of the memories. Arlene was not known to eat in the employee cafeteria. That was not her thing. I don't know, for whatever reason, she was not one to eat there. So we've had a lot of good time over food, the meetings. Let me talk about the HFTP, IAHA, that's the old name for HFTP before HFTP had the new name, and mentoring. We've heard a lot over the past few days about mentors, mentoring, and I'm honored to be considered a mentor of Arlene. You know, wise Solomon said, iron sharpens iron, and one person sharpens another. And with Arlene and I think that's it. So not only do I consider myself a mentor, I consider myself a peer of hers as well. So we've spoken a lot about various things over the years. I've had the privilege of being mentored by some of the best HFTP has had to offer myself. And I want to talk on that just a moment so you can kind of see, I think, how Arlene got to where she is and how you get going to all these meetings and all that. My mentor, one of my mentors, was a former president, not here this evening, was Jaco Talviete, who was involved in changing from IAHA to HFTP back in the day. He was the director of hotel accounting for Mariner Hotels, about 28 hotels, and based in Houston. And one of the things that he said as coming in as an assistant controller or controller, he required you to be a member of HFTP. He says, look, I'm going to pay your travel expenses, I'm going to pay your dues, and I'm going to pay for one of you to go to the convention. And it's going to be on your review whether you show up or not. So that was how I got started in HFTP. I was required to do it. But here I am. Now I come on my own. So with Arlene, when I hired her, I kind of said the same thing. I said, look, you know, it's going to be on your review. You know, and the Woodlands was a funny kind of company to work for. So, you know, they wanted you involved in associations in the community, and it couldn't be your church or synagogue. You had to be more than that. And so Arlene volunteered and helped tremendously. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention some of the others, you know, that I'd say we looked up to. Bob Spinagle from American Liberty Hotels. He's not here this evening. Dr. Agnes DeFranco, thank you. as well. I'd say we both look up to you. And Dr. DeFranco and I, we went to school together, by the way, and also with her husband, John. So Arlene, Bob, and I, back in the day, we created the first ever Houston HFTP Regional Conference. It was a full 2-day event at the Doubletree, which was the Wyndham Warwick and the Galleria of Houston at the time. Jeff Cartwright's hotel. Jeff, former president of this association. So Jeff said, look, I'll underwrite the meeting space and the coffee breaks. You guys get the free speakers. We'll charge a couple, $200–300 a person a day. Let's see what happens. So we did that, and we were surprised. We got all kinds of activity. Arlene, I think, helped with the brochures, putting all that stuff together back in the day. And we pulled in enough registration fees from that organization, and Dave Manglos as well. I see Dave over there. That we're still using those excess funds to this day. It's still in the bank. So I would say Arlene, she attended a lot of meetings. We spent a lot of time. I think we were partly instrumental in Arlene in critiquing the food. As you go to the various chapter meetings, you know, we have a thing in Houston where you try to outdo each other. I mean, seriously, and the Christmas parties had to be some kind of big, huge party. It would be underwritten. And look, if you're not doing that, and if you're, you know, serving just cost items, look, we're accountants. Make it go away. Right? I think you can do that. Dr. DeFranco on teaching. She came to me many years ago and asked me to teach a finance course at the college. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know, you know. And finally I went and did it, and I did it for several semesters. And then I said, okay, I got that out of my system. Agnes, you know, I can't do that anymore. And so anyway, so she contacted Arlene to teach at the college. And so I guess Arlene figured, well, if Al can do it, I can sure do it better than him, which is her competitive nature. God bless her. And so she taught various courses, mostly accounting related, for the hospitality industry, did a great job. And I'm proud to say also that Arlene eventually taught my daughter, Rachel, who attended the hotel school there, and she was a mentor to my daughter. So isn't it funny how things kind of come full circle? And yes, I'm kind of proud to say that she did get an A in the class, thank goodness. That would be kind of embarrassing if she didn't. And today, Arlene is faculty advisor to the student chapter of HFTP, which won the student chapter award this afternoon. Go Cougs! Arlene has been a hotel controller, golf club controller, director of finance for a major hospitality management company, Benchmark International. She's been a University of Houston Hotel School accounting instructor. She does consulting for her own company called ADR Hospitality Consulting. She's author of over 16 publications and presentations. She has an MBA from Sam Houston, a BBA in accounting from UT. She's a CHAE, a CHE, which is a certified hospitality educator, a CHIA certification in hotel industry analytics. From HFTP, she's been the past global vice president, global secretary. She's been on the board of directors, the chair of the education committee, wife to my good friend Albert, mother to Alessandra, and ladies and gentlemen, my friend. Please join me in welcoming our new HFTP Global President, Arlene Ramirez.
Wow, I didn't know I was that good. But I don't have anybody up here to do the high five kind of thingy. Maybe later. Thank you, Al. Al and I have been friends for many years. He failed to mention that I was only about 12 when I started working with him. So I want to welcome all of you distinguished guests, live and online. I guess Tim's gone now. And I say distinguished because all of you are distinguished. Being members of this association, all of us are very, very special. This association means a lot to me, and I'm very humbled by this honor of being their global president. And I still don't, it's fully not comprehended yet. This association has given me so many opportunities, many because I just jumped on them. I think that's something that I want to use as a message, is that you have something available to you, you have to take advantage of it. You just don't need to take it for granted. So I assume that when you come up here to give a presidential speech, there has to be some kind of theme. Basically, so what are you going to do? And I have some big shoes to fill. I truly mean big because my feet are much smaller than Daniel's. So I have to do something. I feel that it's meaningful, but we have so many things going on. I started to think, and I was speaking with Prakash. Prakash was my advisor on how to do the speech. His first advice was to have several glasses of wine. I was a little hesitant because I said I do need to get up the stairs. So that would be a bad thing if I could not do that. But I had so many inspirations this week. It was an amazing week. I really had an amazing time at this conference. I'm not sure about the belly dancing. That was not on my plans of things to do. And that will not be repeated tonight. Maybe, at least not up here. So what is next? So recently, actually about 5 years ago, I believe, we have a new chancellor and president at the University of Houston, Renaud Couture. And she is one amazing individual. She has transformed the university. We are now a Tier 1 university. And recently it was announced that we are going to be hosting one of the final Republican candidate debates. And she was interviewed, which is a really big deal for our campus, and she was asked to provide a press release to discuss this debate. And she made a comment that, to me, resonated quite deeply because that's exactly how I feel, and it was very succinct. And it said, "Challenging the status quo produces the strongest innovation." And to me, that is what HFTP is. We foster innovation. At least it has in my life, because it's given me the opportunity to say, well, I think we could do this better, or I want to find a better way of doing something. And I've always found the resources and the support through this association. Our members are not satisfied with the status quo. We are constantly looking for better ways of doing things. If we don't like something, we change it. We have formed new alliances with universities. We recently announced, today as a matter of fact, a founding association sponsor for the new Innovation Center at the Rosen College at the University of Central Florida. These are the types of things that we do as an association. And as a member, we reap the benefits of us being innovative. So again, we cannot continue with the status quo. We have two research centers, institutes, one at the University of Houston and one at Hong Kong Polytech. And those two institutes actually create a lot of new research and ideas. Recently, Dr. DeFranco and Dr. Morrison wrote several articles about club and technology applications in clubs that were very well received throughout the industry. We need to keep innovating, and we need to keep not accepting the status quo. So in that respect, how do we keep that going? Well, we need more people to volunteer. We have so many amazing volunteers. However, we need new ones. Not that the people that are currently helping form this association we welcome them as well. But there's so many of you that have so many talents and so many gifts. And I think Frank said today at the lunch that many do not want to volunteer because they don't feel as though they are qualified. The only qualification you need is a desire to give back to the association. That's it. We'll help you with everything else. So one of the things I would like to do this year is to make sure that we share our rich HFTP experience. Why are we participating? Why am I here? I'm here because I feel as though I have given and I have received, and I think we need to share that with everyone else here. And also educate people on exactly what it entails to be a volunteer. We are not slaves to Frank. We actually have a lot of avenues available to us, and with the T in our HFTP technology, we can really make it easy for you to volunteer. We need to encourage new blood to grow our brand. When we have more volunteers, that will grow our brand. We need to continue our quality programming, and we have many new initiatives this year, which we need to make sure that we continue to have at the quality that we have. And again, the last thing I would like to leave with you before I thank everyone that I want to thank is we never need to stop answering that question that the industry doesn't even know that it has. I feel as though HFTP, we are the resource in this industry for finance and technology, and we answer the question before it is even asked. And we need to continue that. And how do we do that? By not accepting the status quo, by constantly being innovative and not accepting things the way they are, and always questioning, how could it be done better, faster, and in a new way? So I am not one person to run this association. It's run by many. And I want to thank some of the people that have led me to this amazing path, because this is truly an honor. You have no idea. There are so many people, and I know I'm going to miss some people. And when we talked earlier about this being a family, with Frank bringing my daughter up, which I was not aware he was going to do that, it is a family. And you know, I don't want to call any one individual out, but there was one person that I always see at this conference, and we don't email, we don't chat on the phone, but every time I come for the last 20 years, or 20, yeah, I think it's been 20 years, because I'm not that old. He's always here, and we always talk about his family, and that's Tilak. Tilak's over there with RP, and we always see each other at this conference, and we have the most wonderful conversations. And this year, his son graduated from University Oxford, and you know, it's just such a great thing to be able to feel as though you're part of someone's family, and you can share the exciting news and know that when you're going to come here once a year that you get to reconnect with people. And it's not so much on a personal level, but it's been several years. When I was with Benchmark, we took over a property in Canada, I think it was north of Toronto, and I needed to find a controller. So I called Tilak and I said, hey, I need someone, can you help me out? And he gave me a list of some people, and I hired someone there. And then when I had to go to Toronto, Tilak called me, and I called him to tell him thank you. And he said, oh, you have to come to my club, and we have to have dinner. And I tell you, you feel like you're royalty. He treated me so well. But that's what you get when you give to this organization. You have to put yourself out there and chat with people, and you will meet some amazing people that will help you, whether you know it at the time or not. But some of the people I do want to thank, of course, Al, because I wouldn't be here with Al not telling me I had to be a member. So, but I did get the job because of HFTP, so I felt as though I needed to do that. But he got me very engaged in Houston, and I was very active. Agnes, of course, and Tanya, they are both my biggest cheerleaders. You know, they're big rah-rah. And of course, the Houston chapter, we've had some amazing leaders there, and we continue to have a strong chapter. And of course, the Cougar chapter, they keep making me proud every year, winning their awards. And next year, most of them are graduating, so we're going to have to start all over again. So the other chapters now have a chance. Of course, the University of Houston, because although I do consulting, I primarily do work at the University of Houston, so I'd like to thank Dean Reynolds and Associate Dean Dawson, because they are extremely supportive of me being in this role. Frank, Wolf, Lynette, Thomas, Lucinda, and all the staff, we can't do what we do without all their help and support. all these past presidents, I was very fortunate because I was on the board twice, and I was very, 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 very young when I was on the board the first time. So I got to meet Ralph. Actually, Ralph and I think got on the board about the same time. It's just a funny story because I didn't really like Ralph when I met him. But now I really do. I like him a lot. Tim Morey, Dennis Blyshak, who was my boss at Benchmark, who actually pushed me to get on the board. Wendy Zertstadt, she was president when I was on the board, and she was quite an inspiration. Henry, his stories about his Indian heritage and all the money he makes on casinos. Howard Isaacson, who, we had some fun stories with Howard. And of course, the executive committee, Daniel, Jerry, Lyle, and who can say, I'm just waiting to say this, contact my secretary, Scott. He will take care of things. So who can say that that's their secretary, right? Michael Levy, is Michael still here? Or did he already leave? Where are you? Oh, back there. Oh, there you go. I've had some amazing conversations with him. He is such an inspiration. He's such a, where else would you get to have FaceTime with someone like that, right? So you need to volunteer. And last but not least, I want to thank, I think that Ralph's wife, Ralph made a comment about his wife when he goes out of town, that she takes care of a lot of things, and that it's not just, little things, it's a lot. When I have to do all of this, traveling or going to HFTP meetings, it does create a bit of a havoc in our life. But I have a great network of friends and my parents who help me. And so without them, I wouldn't be able to do the volunteering that I do. But I have to thank Alessandra and Albert, because they are there for me always. And before I even applied for the executive committee, I asked them, are you guys okay with this? And they're like, go for it. We support you 100%. So I want to thank them. So once again, thank you. Enjoy this evening. I'm sure you're going to have a great time. And thank you very much for this honor. I feel lonely up here because I have no one to high five. You guys aren't coming up here? Secretary. I did forget to mention that you do learn a lot of things at this convention. I didn't realize how sexy Ted Horner was until last night. So I would be remiss if I did not pass that on for those of you who missed it last night. So I'm not sure, or is now at that time? Okay, well, okay, so I'm in charge. We'll make this brief. So I need to say something nice about Daniel now. So I thought long and hard, oh gosh, what do I say about Daniel? But it's so easy. Daniel is an amazing guy. I really didn't get to know him. I didn't know him that well until I got onto the EC, but we have had such a wonderful time. He is such a devoted, caring, and intense individual. I've learned a lot from him. And I really do have big shoes to fill, but he's not going far at all. He's going to be right there because we're going to need him with everything that we have going on. So, trying to find a gift for someone who has everything, what do you do? So, I know last year we had the party and it was the Mad Hatter, right? So I'm trying to find something, and he likes golf and he likes cats. So I was telling Alessandra, I said, okay, what do I get this? What do I get him? He likes golf, cats, and the Mad Hatter. She goes, get him a golf club that's a cat pooper scooper that has a, well, we couldn't find one. So that way he could enjoy golf and think of his cat at the same time, but it didn't work. So I figured if you can't get a pooper scooper, booze is always good. So I tried to work it in, and actually there's an extra part of this gift, but Amazon never fails me, but it failed me this week. So I figured that sometimes maybe in his office he might want to have a Mad Hatter tea party. So I found these cool, like, bourbon glasses that look like teacups, so that he could pretend he's drinking tea even though he might be drinking bourbon. So this is Kentucky bourbon whiskey, and there's a tree on here, so I thought, oh, well, Alice could have accidentally fallen down here somewhere. And it's actually and it's signed by the distiller, and it's only bottle 945. And this gentleman is actually a chemical engineer, but he owns, it's not chemicals, I promise, it's not oil. But he also owns a distillery in Kentucky, so it's a Kentucky bourbon whiskey, and I'm sure you will enjoy it. And so come on up, and I'll give you your glasses later.
So now it's my chance.
Oh, I'll take my notes.
Don't go anywhere. Don't worry about your notes. So thank you. I look forward to drinking that. Maybe tonight, who knows? Not saying anything. So I do have to say a few words, though, about your incoming president, your president now. Don't worry, Ralph. When I first met her, wasn't so sure I liked her either. So it goes around, right? In fact, when Arlene got onto the executive committee, I actually called David Johnson. There's David. I said, David, I need your help. You worked with Arlene before. Why does she hate me so much? And David said, oh, no, she treats everybody like that. It's okay. I said, oh, okay, that's good. But as Arlene said, we've worked together on the executive committee. We've gotten to know each other really well. We've had great conversations. She keeps me in line. The chemical, you don't have to kill me, you're the president, it's okay, you got it. But I am here to support you in whatever you do. It's an amazing opportunity that you have before you, and I have to tell you, you're going to have a great president for the association. She's a great woman. She's going to lead us farther than we could ever imagine, and congratulations, my friend. But I do have something for you. So, Arlene is also very difficult to shop for. Diamonds always work. Well, so I called up Tanya and I called up David, and then they got a hold of Albert, and I'm going to give you Albert's exact response. Do you really think I know what my wife likes? Thank you for the help, Albert. I really appreciate it. It's really great of you to help me out so much. So for the woman that does have everything, I began to think about my year as president, and this is kind of a two-part gift. So inside of this box is both a clock and a compass. And it's because with the amount of travel you're about to do, you're not going to know what time zone you're in or what direction you're going most of the time. But more importantly, there's a quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson that said, "Do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path, and leave a trail." And I can tell you, we have no better person that's going to leave a new trail for us than you. So congratulations. You can close if you like.
Okay, I guess the party starts now. No.